Hi, it's Alexis. In this video, I'm going to explain you what's going on in your ex's brain, what's their psychology at the moment after a breakup. It's so important for you to understand how it works, what's going on in their mind if you want to fix it. Think of it as a mechanic who wants to fix a car. He needs to understand what's going on inside. He needs to understand how the engine works, the tires, and all the things that work in a car. That's what we're going to do today. So I suggest you take a piece of paper and a pen. I'm going to ask you to write down some things. At the end of the video, you'll basically be more equipped to have an action plan if you want to get back with your ex, because that's what I want to deliver today, is for you to be able to articulate an action plan for you to get back with your ex. If you're struggling and want to know if you have any chance to get back with your ex, there's an assessment where I left a link in the description of the video and also in the first comment. So let's get to it. What's going on in their mind? What's their psychology at the moment? So in any relationship, and we're gonna go back in the days before you dated, you met your ex, maybe you were friends before, maybe you met them through Tinder or whatever in parties, you started to date, your feelings grew. Maybe it grew very quickly, maybe steadily over a few weeks. But at some point, you got together, you're in a relationship, you had the talk or whatever, it's serious. And you get to that phase where it's sort of stable, not in terms of happiness, but in terms of the growing of intensity. It's all, it's a plateau. Don't see it as very negative, the routine things, but it's a serious relationship. And at some point, something happened in your ex's mind, in your ex's brain. They start to create the idea of breaking up with you. And so this happens not the day when they tell you we have to break up. It happens, and that's when I want you to take a piece of paper and write it down, about 30% of the relationship. So if you were together 3 years, about a year before the breakup, they started to think about breaking up with you. Not necessarily she or he's not right for me, but they started as thinking, oh, there's something I need to do with my partner. There's something wrong, I feel. What if we're not together? And they start asking those questions in their head. And that's what's gonna happen. So take a piece of paper, try to write down roughly when was that, what was the date? Was it 6 months ago, a year ago, etc.? Now, from that date, try to look at events, at things that happened to you, to your partner, to the environment that has forced yourself or your partner to change. Could be moving houses, could be having a new job, could be maybe they lost a parent, maybe, maybe you had a strong argument about something, a trigger. And that trigger, write it down. Maybe there's a couple of things that happen in a given month. And try to write down what they told you at that time. Try to write down the signals, how they reacted to that change. It's not about what you've done wrong. It's not about if they are right or wrong, actually. But try to look at what has changed. You were in that, relationship, and there's something that caused that relationship intensity feelings to, go down a little bit. What is it? Analyze it, be critical, don't be too harsh on yourself, but it's just between yourself and yourself, this exercise. If you're struggling to find an answer to that question, sit down with a friend, or you can just give me a call. I will leave my contact details to book a free session just to discuss. Usually it's easier to exchange with someone who is independent and who doesn't know your ex to know really realistically what happened. So, we can have a chat. More than happy to help you, and I'll provide you some actionable tips as well. But still, look at what happened and what they told you. And if they didn't tell you something clearly, the signals or the signs, maybe they behave differently, maybe they were less intimate, this result of after this event. And there's always an event, there's always something. And now what's going on in their mind after this event, they're like, okay, this happened. This is how my environment reacted. This is how my partner reacted. And this is not what I expected from my partner. And therefore, there's a disconnection between their expectation of you and what they see. And again, try to see what was your reaction. And again, I'm not saying you're right, I'm not saying you're wrong. Try to see how you reacted. Maybe you've changed job and as a result of that you worked more hours and then you were less available for your partner. Could be different things. Maybe it's about your kids. Maybe your kids started to have, as they grow up, they have different problems and you were not in agreement with how to approach this problem. So try to analyze what was that clash or that between their expectations and your expectation and what you delivered or what you feel delivered. And again, if you're struggling, have a chat with someone. Bouncing ideas is really helpful. Because what happens in their mind, in your ex's mind at that time, is that, okay, this is what I expect, this is what I get. And over time, each time they will be confronted with an event, the same situation, they would always say, test it. Sometimes they test you and they will say, are they still here or are they upping their game towards my expectations? And again, I'm not saying you're right or wrong. Maybe their expectations are higher, they're unrealistic. At this stage, I don't care. They have these expectations and this is what they get. And over time, they will test it and assess. And sometimes it will be worse and worse because the more they expect that thing, maybe the higher their expectations are and the lower, maybe you don't invest anymore. And at some point, they reach a point where by analyzing everything, they say, okay, I am better off not living with my partner. And you have to acknowledge that it took them a while to go through that thought process. It took them weeks, months before they say, I'm actually better off not being with you. And it is really important for you to understand that that's why it takes a lot of time to get back with your ex. Because if they took 6 months to make that decision, to process that decision, how can you be like, yeah, we're going to get back together in a week or in a month? They broke up with you. It took them 6 months. It needs a bit of time. Hence the radio silence, hence working on yourself and so on. So this is what's going on in your ex's mind when they break up. And then after they break up, they're like, okay, I made the decision that because I don't feel it's working anymore. And as soon as they after the breakup, they're like, they could have, sometimes, and most of the time actually, they are scared. Because they've been in a couple for a long time, and now they're single. And even if they're dating someone, they are scared of the unknown. And what are they going to do? If they're dating someone, if they're meeting someone, they're going to test these guys exactly on what you failed or you didn't deliver properly. They will find ways to be in the same situation, to confront them to the same project, to the same visions, and they will see whether when they have these expectations, they're here or here. And you'll see, that's why sometimes the rebound guy or the rebound girl is a bit different than you, because they want to do something different, right? And so your job right now is really to analyze their expectations, your expectations, understand if their expectations are realistic, if you're happy with their expectations. Because again, you want to be happy, you don't want to make any compromise versus your values and the projects you have in life, and your vision and so on. And see how you can work on yourself to gradually get to their level of expectation. Don't mention that straight away, directly. Just work on yourself. I've shared many techniques on what to do after a radio silence, but really focus on yourself, work on yourself. What were their expectations? Maybe it was time management. You were working long hours. How can you manage your work hours better? Maybe it was about your children. You didn't agree on education. So how can you learn to manage anger, to be more empathetic, all this kind of thing that maybe your ex is telling you you're not good enough or not meeting their expectations. Write it down and see your action plan. What are you going to do today? What are you going to do this week to get better at this? What are you going to do this month to get better at this? And write these goals down and assess them every single morning, every single evening. What have you done today to get better at this? Don't focus on your ex, focus on yourself. You do this day in, day out, day in, day out. If you're not sure, give me a call. We'll work on it together. More than happy. I've done hundreds of actions planned like that. And it depends on you. It depends on the ex, depends on your relationship, it depends on your vision. But have a plan. If you don't have a plan, there's no way you're going to get back with your ex. Have a plan, work it out, track it, and you will get back with her or him if you do the right thing, and if you're right to be together 90% of the time. That's the case. Take care of yourselves. Ciao.